Brilliant. Okay, that was a nice intro. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see so many faces here on a Friday afternoon. I know it's almost the end of this incredible forum, but we're very excited to have all of you here for this Disruptors Club conversation. My name is MARU. I'm the CEO of a company called Tech Safari that covers African tech and really focuses on spotlighting companies that are disrupting the continent with technology. And today, we're going to be talking to a few of those companies that are having a massive impact on the continent through using technology to disrupt traditional industries. We're going to be joined by, the way we'll be doing this is we'll be pairing up these tech companies with traditional institutions and large industries, large companies in those industries, and trying to understand how they're shaking up their industry. So we'll be doing this in duos, and I'll invite a duo of a tech company and an executive at a large company to talk about how tech is disrupting their industry. We'll have a short 10-minute punchy conversation, and then at the end, we're going to invite all of the entrepreneurs up on stage to answer some questions from the audience. Does that all make sense? Yes. Great. Okay. So let's get started. I just wanted to say before we kick off, thank you to Visa for sponsoring the Disruptors Club. They actually brought a lot of these entrepreneurs here. We really appreciate that. It's great to have entrepreneurs in this forum, so thanks for that. Let's kick off. I'd love to invite two payment giants into the room. Firstly, Aïda DIARRA on stage. Aïda is the Senior Vice President and Manager of Sub-Saharan Africa from Visa. Welcome. Let me give you a handshake. Grab a seat. And secondly, Rahul, JAIN, the CEO and co-founder of Peach Payments. Welcome. Cool. Get comfortable, pick any seats, and grab a microphone. So let's kick off with some quick introductions. Rahul, would you like to give a quick intro of yourself and Peach Payments?
Sure, thanks. Hi, I'm Rahul. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO at Peach Payments. We are a payment service provider. We work in online payments. So we enable any business that wants to sell a product or service through a digital channel, like a website, an app, call centers, email, SMS. And we provide payment tools to them to build payments into these channels for their businesses.
Fantastic. Awesome. And Aïda, would you like to give you a quick intro? And,
sure.
Yeah.
Hello, Aïda DIARRA, overseeing Sub-Saharan Africa for Visa. We are a technology company that enable payments across the globe, partnering with different stakeholders in the ecosystem, regulators, fintechs, financial institutions, and more.
Fantastic. Awesome. Let's go back to Rahul really quickly and kind of ask, Rahul, how do you're disrupting fintech for large companies with technology. How are you supporting larger companies with their payment solutions, and what's sort of the secret sauce in how you support those companies?
I think the biggest challenge for some of our larger merchants and businesses that we work with is understanding what is happening in the market from a user behavior. And why is payments being disrupted? It's because users expect a different experience today. You're very used to, let's take Uber as an example. Payments is now behind the scenes. You don't think about payments anymore. So similarly for online retail, what do consumers expect, and how can these businesses enable those experiences? Really, that's what I spend a lot of time when I speak to large businesses. It's also things like, oh, you know what, getting paid is the first step. Actually, there's a whole web of things that needs to happen behind the scenes. How will you handle refunds? How do you deal with fraud? So what are the processes that your businesses need? Reconciliation, what does your finance team need to do? So I think that's really where we get into the weeds with these larger players, because that payment acceptance part is only the tip of the iceberg. The real value that we bring to these businesses is actually the business process automation that goes to everything else that happens behind the scenes.
And I like that idea of kind of like consumer expectations, right? Things have to work quickly. You expect your Uber to be there in a few minutes.
Yeah, and today, as a large business, let's say you're a fashion retailer, you're spending millions of dollars in advertising, you're bringing the user to the checkout page, and actually the online customer does not have patience anymore. it's the equivalent of walking from the aisle or from the teller's queue when you're in store. If the line's too long, you leave the clothes on the aisle and you walk away. That time is like 15 seconds in the online world. If your payments are not working, they're out. They're going to the next competitor's website where they can get that product. So that attention span and that urgency is like 100x in the digital world versus what you see in the physical realm.
Totally, yeah. Very cool. Thank you, Rahul. Aïda, I'd love to go back to you and ask you a bit about how Visa is working with startups and tech companies, and how do you see collaboration between a large organization like Visa and startups like Peach Payments or other players?
Yeah, fintechs are at the core of our, approach in the region, but also around the world. What we're seeing as value is really a little bit what Rahul was saying in terms of bringing end-to-end value delivery to the last mile, designing use cases that are in line with consumer expectations, bringing speed to market because they have the agility, building infrastructure from the start that is nimble and that complements the ecosystem, because many of the financial institutions today have, legacy systems and, operations that does not necessarily allow the kind of flexibility that that fintechs can bring. And the beauty is that the financial institutions see that. They're ready to partner. There's of course conversation, and they need to sit at the table to decide how we embed technology into an infrastructure that has its requirements, right? How do you revenue share? But from a principal standpoint, there's definitely value there. So we overlay our capabilities and our technology, and sometimes bring even more partners to the ecosystem, like we do in the context of digitization of government payments, for example, like what we've done in Kenya and Ethiopia. So we bring together the fintech, financial institutions, the government to digitize the services and overlay payment capabilities on top of that.
That's awesome. And I think that links really nicely into the next question for both of you, kind of a wrapping up question. And maybe we can start with a practical example, Aïda. Like, when has Visa, say, partnered with, or how could Visa partner with a company like Peach Payments or like another company in fintech or that space to provide impact for a particular customer that you might have?
We partner on so many fronts, either on the acceptance space, like we talked about earlier, be it digital or retail, like at retail shops, or even in terms of, credentials issued, because now you can issue virtual or digital credentials, and fintechs are really bullish about driving that agenda, casting the net broader to onboard consumers that are today underserved. And then there's a whole infrastructure building to connect the dots and create new rails for payments that are critical to kind of provide, for example, opportunities for remittance, cross-border remittance, movement of money. So the opportunities are endless. But what is great, though, in today's world is that all stakeholders are coming to terms with the fact that we need to work together. How we do that, depending on what you're trying to enable and the regulatory framework and whatnot, needs to be discussed. But the principle is understood and embraced.
Awesome. That's a really cool shift to see. Rahul, how about you? How do you see collaboration potential with an organization like MasterCard, like Visa? Sorry, whoops. Whoa. Sorry, Freudian slip. With an organization like Visa, to sort of disrupt the space and provide more value to customers.
See, I think, our view has always been leveraging strengths of the different players in the value chain. With us, Visa brings the network, brings interoperability. I mean, that's the real power of the platform, and allows us to participate in a space where previously it was only the banks or larger financial institutions. So I think for us, our view is, how do we democratize digital commerce and bring equal access from the SME to the large enterprise? And I think that's where our visions align. So for us, we're all critical parts of that value chain. It doesn't work. Peach can't process cards if there is no Visa, right, at the end of the day, or if the banks, don't exist. So for us, it's actually a necessity to work with them.
Awesome. Great. Let's hear it for our two panelists, Rahul and Aïda. Thank you so much. And I'd love to introduce our next two panelists. Joanna, the CEO and founder of Kasha Global, and Maturin, Pharma International Area Head of Roche in Africa. Welcome and welcome. Sorry, that was the Anglo way to say it. Grab a seat, yes. Awesome. So let's start with a quick round of introductions. Tell us a bit about yourself and what your company is doing. Joanna, feel free to start.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Joanna BICHSEL. I'm the founder and CEO of Kasha. And Kasha is a digital platform that sells and delivers pharmaceutical products and household goods. And we focus on lower income populations operating in 5 countries across Africa. We deliver to last mile, build wide distribution networks. But the most important part is all of this is digitally enabled. So we're able to see, around the country, which products are people preferring? What is the price they can afford? What is their demographic? What are they choosing instead? And why? So we're using digital to basically turn health supply chains upside down.
Fantastic. Thank you, Joanna. Maturin, I'd love a quick intro on you and what Roche Health.
Hi, everyone. I'm Maturin. I work for Roche Pharmaceutical and Diagnostic. We are a global manufacturer of medicine and diagnostic services. I represent Africa at the table of our international operation, which take care of 150 countries around the world. I take Africa question, Africa issue at our global operation. In Africa, with 16 other colleagues, we ensure that our medicines and diagnostic reach those who need the most.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Joanna, let's talk about how Kasha is supporting sort of these larger companies in distributing pharmaceuticals and healthcare goods. Can you tell us a bit about how you work with traditional industry and institutions to help them grow?
Absolutely. So we do have an enterprise part of our business, and we do work with pharmaceutical manufacturers, and we are basically a go-to-market channel for them. We help them access new markets faster, more efficiently, and especially more effectively. And so for that, we use a lot of the digital technologies we've built, so they get dashboards, they can see across the countries where their customers are, kind of the competitor landscape as well. We don't want to compete. We're not going to manufacture. We have the same goals. We want to enable access. So we want to take genuine quality products, make sure they're stored well, make sure the brand is protected, and make sure it reaches where it needs to go, but that it's also affordable. So that's how we partner.
Fantastic. That's awesome. And in sort of that collaboration process, do you find that you drive the costs down for those goods that you're helping sell to in the last mile?
I think it's an interesting time right now because for pharma manufacturers, what is traditionally done is there's a key distributor in the market. And often those are exclusive and all the products go there. And one of the challenges with that model is that distributor really does no demand generation at all. And so people have to go to that distributor, and then there's many middlemen once it gets into the very rural areas. So prices end up being unaffordable. These products are unaffordable for people. And so I think what we can both really partner around is to ensure we can go straight direct to these consumers, to these pharmacies as well, and make these products affordable and show price transparency. I think that that's really important, because you actually unlock a much larger market. So yes, it's more efficient, it's faster, but then also you grow your business, you know. So it's really around increasing, not just getting more market share, but increasing the market size. The market size is there. When we look at things like diabetes and hypertension, we don't even get enough screening. With Kasha, we actually do mobile clinics. And so it's around understanding the real size of the market and getting the products there.
Fantastic. Okay. Great rundown and great like practical example of how tech is really making that process more efficient of getting these goods to customers like more efficiently and cutting out middlemen. Maturin, I'd love to hear a little bit about how you work with startups, tech companies to kind of grow Roche and how you could work with startups and tech companies in the future.
To answer that question, I maybe want to go back to what is our mission at Roche, right? Our mission, whether with our scientists in the lab, whether with a manufacturer on the plant, or ourselves in the market, is to ensure that we do what patients need next. I think when it comes to science, I think for 127 years, Roche has been a company that follows science, and therefore, we have that science capability. I think talking to Joanna earlier, I realized actually what patients need next is not necessarily science, it's what she's doing. How do we ensure that the patient gets his medicine at the step of her door? We don't have the capability for that. And sometimes the regulation does not allow us to do that. That where startups like that of Joanna come in and help us do it in a manner that A, we cannot do, and B, which is apparently more efficient and cost saving. Yeah.
That's really interesting. I guess like that idea of looking into science and deep tech innovation, but actually seeing, you know, technology isn't just science, it can actually disrupt supply chains and provide value. I think that's actually a great jumping off point for our sort of last question, which is, how do you see collaboration potential in the future with companies like Kasha or other companies that could help you kind of distribute more efficiently? And then also, Joanna, how do you see collaboration potential with larger industries like Roche? Yeah.
Well, we had a great conversation this morning. So I think it's great for the CEO forum that it actually brings these startups together with these big pharma, and we can have these conversations. So, you know, it says Kasha Global for a reason. Kasha was built to be a global company operating across emerging markets. And there is tremendous power to partner with a global organization. And so I see, you know, literally world-changing opportunities when we partner together to disrupt together. You know, we're disrupting the space. We want the same thing. So, yeah, I think there's many practical things we talked about, but when we think big for the long term, there's exciting opportunities.
Fantastic.
I'm also in our area, right? Because traditionally healthcare is quite a conservative space, right? Where you need the white coat to take care of healthcare. I think that mindset needs to change. Right, the traditional distributor, that mindset needs to change, because actually they might not take us where we want to be. I think that's why I think the conversation we had this morning was, and the way you put it, is not about the big company and the startup. It's really about two partners, that mindset of two partners trying to solve a problem on the patient journey, right? And obviously create value that they equally share. Yeah, for me, that's the key, that mindset, of coming together and solving a problem for the patient,
Super cool. Guys, thank you so much. Let's hear it for Maturin and Joanna. Thank you. See you. Brilliant. And just a heads up that at the end of this, we're going to invite all three entrepreneurs on stage, and you'll be able to ask your questions. So if you have them, hang on to them. Don't forget them. And I'd love to next invite Sylvain KLUBA, the Regional Managing Director for Middle East and Africa at Ceva Logistics, and Lelian, Chief Operating Officer at Leta, up on stage. Let's hear it for both of them. Hey, shake your hands. I don't know what to do when people get on stage. I'm like, do I shake their hand? Do I just like let them walk? It's always a little bit awkward. Fantastic. Let's start with a round of introductions. Sylvain, feel free to get started.
My name is Sylvain KLUBA. I'm in charge of the region Middle East and Africa for Ceva Logistics. Ceva Logistics is a logistics company that's handling freight forwarding like air freight, sea freight, ground transportation, warehousing, contract logistics. It's a global company, and this is in charge of the Middle East and Africa.
Fantastic, thank you. And Lelian?
Yeah, of course. Hi, my name is Lelian. I'm the COO at Leta. What we basically do, we provide tech to optimize last mile logistics. So basically where you kind of end, that's where we take it over to make sure that the goods get delivered to or businesses or consumers. And I think we heard already some great examples. No, logistics is quite expensive still, and by providing good technology, we can really reduce the cost of logistics. Yeah.
Fantastic, awesome. Yeah. Let's double click on that, Lelian. Can you tell us a little bit more about how Leta is disrupting logistics for large companies?
Yeah, sure. Maybe good to give an example. One of the customers we were working with, a large bakery in Kenya, and they distribute thousands of pieces of bread every day to like distributors, supermarkets, schools, etc. And they have a large fleet, like what is it, about 100 trucks. And what they were doing before, this was all very manual process, making sure that all the products would get into the trucks, all the routing, etc. You know, you don't even know if your products arrived at the customers. So this is really what we changed. Now we kind of digitize, automate, and optimize their business. So now the whole process of loading the trucks, really making sure it's optimized really, so trucks don't go empty or like half full on the road, but also the routing, you know, what is now the best trip to take. And, you know, by doing that, you can, for them we reduce by, what is it, about 20% or even more. So just to give you a bit of an idea, it's not just squeezing a few percentages here and there out of the logistics cost, it's huge improvements there. And it's not just the costs that are being optimized, it's in the end also the service to the customers. I think that's actually even the most important part, because we all know, I think the panel about payments, it's putting trust in the payments. I think the other part, what we are really now, I think, innovating, and that's across the world, but definitely in Africa, is how can you make also your distribution reliable? You know, as a customer, you want to know, I bought this item, do I get this, and do I get it in time? So that's where we are stepping in.
Awesome. Thanks for that rundown, Lelian. Sylvain, I'd love to hear a little bit from you about how you're looking at technology like digitization and AI to kind of improve operations at Ceva Logistics and sort of help with distribution of goods.
Yeah, the logistics industry at large is undergoing a very deep transformation process, and technology is very much at core. And in that framework, large organizations, they tend to seek the support of some tech startup to actually find the right technology to solve or to help some of their pain points. And there are some larger, like for example, CMS EGM, the group where the mother company of Ceva Logistics has launched about 10 years ago an incubator called The Box, and which is aiming at promoting the startups coming with a text that actually solve and improve and enhance the tech part of the logistics. And the areas of connection between tech and the logistics industry can be, for example, sustainability and decarbonization is very much at the core of the junction between technology and the logistics, where it supports the energy transition. Can be areas like fleet management and how to handle and using technology like AI or predictive AI, even generative AI to manage large fleet and of assets, like for example, a shipping line can have 4 or 5 million empty containers in the world. We need to manage it. Then the technology will help to reduce the complexity, create more visibility, optimize the flows, reduce the cost, reduce even the carbon footprint. This is where we can see the junction between logistics and tech. But another domain is the workflow automation, digitalization, becoming paperless. We are more and more paperless now. We can move cargo, handle the complete process almost without paper. I think the last mile will be the blockchain when the time will come. And technology is very much at core in the logistics industry.
Very cool. And I think it's awesome to see like a company, an organization like Ceva have an incubator that just helps you build and develop other companies to sort of solve some of these challenges. Yeah. I'd love to open it up to both of you now to kind of ask about, what are some practical ways that you see collaboration in your space? So what are some practical ways that you could use technology within the business, and maybe some examples as well? Because I feel like we covered a lot of the different ways, which is digitization, blockchain, AI. But how are you doing that at the moment? And then also, like Lelian, like how do you see yourself integrating with companies like Ceva or other companies to help them really scale?
I can mention some practical examples.
Yes.
There are some apps today that we offer to the clients, or the logistics company can offer to the clients, that can measure the CO2 footprint for any shipment. One importer from China to Mombasa will know the footprint. Even they will choose the route to reduce the CO2 footprint. That's one example of the tech. There are some in the mobility. We have all the electric trucks, the electric barges that are being developed, and in the last mile delivery where you are working, tech is very much at the core of it.
Yes.
You are talking about the complete digitalization of the distribution of goods, especially in the retail industry, where any on B2B, even a shop can order is supplied by on an app and get delivered in a few hours. That's the type of
Very cool.
And this is where the connection happens with the startup.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think you already mentioned it. So we are working with medium and large businesses like FMCGs, distributors. And what I already said is like most of it is manual. So it's just by putting the basic technology in place, that's already a big step forward, I can tell you. You don't even have to do AI yet, but it's more also the AI that's helping us actually at the back. We all know that navigation routing is quite complex, I think, anywhere in the world. As you hear, I'm from the Netherlands. We have quite a good system, but even there's always a lot of information missing. You have that here even more so. And just things like using AI to actually cover for all the gaps of data that are not there, like just speed profiles, for instance. We need that to give very good routing estimations. That's an example. I think it seems very simple, but it's actually where AI is helping us a lot to, in the end, have a very predictable delivery planning for our customers. Yeah.
Very cool. Guys, thank you so much for your time, Sylvain and Lelian. Let's hear it for both of them. Lelian, I'll ask you to stay on stage, and I'm going to invite the other disruptors to join us. So yeah, for sure. See you. Thanks. We do need one more chair. Can we get that, please?
There was another one.
Yeah, they moved it, the sofa. So once we get our extra chair, we'll invite Rahul and Joanna back up. But in the meantime, I think we're open for questions. So any questions from the audience for our disruptors on how they're disrupting their industries?
Or can we just do a red, like the chair?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, here we go. Yeah, right on cue. Yeah, come through.
Oh, and we can share the... I'm not
Cool.
sure if this one is working.
Any questions here for our disruptors? You can put your hand up if you have any. Cool. All clear. Okay, we have one here from Leila. Let's hand her a mic.
Most of the innovation comes from sort of small tech companies. I just wonder, how do you then collaborate and bring that culture into big corporate world? I think that could be probably one of the major challenges you face.
That's a great question. Who would like to, Joanna?
I can talk about one example of where we have collaborated with a corporate, and I see the visa person has left. We've worked with MasterCard before. They have actually an equity investment in our company, and I love their startup program. It is, and I've seen a few, but it's a good program. Because it's super practical to partner commercially together. So it's called Start Path, and you actually get an account manager within the company that helps you navigate the mammoth organization, which is extremely helpful. They also invite you in to learn about their strategy. This is the strategy of the company. This is what we're trying to do. You're obviously under NDA and everything. But that's a very unique example of where we've had some really great partnerships, commercial partnerships that are win-win. And it's because of this very practical way that we work together. And I think sometimes it's difficult where there's, there can be a startup program within a corporate, but it doesn't yield anything. It's not meant to, one of the KPIs is not we're doing a commercial deal together. And so with startups, we don't have time. We need to be practical. We need to show results all the time. And when big companies understand that, it works well.
Fantastic. Thanks, Joanna. Would anyone else like to take that? I think it's a really important question.
Yeah, I think we both deal with big companies now, and try to make sure they use the tech. Of course, they come to us because they see the benefits of it. But now to make it work is a whole other thing, because I think quite a few of us know it's not just saying, oh, here's the system, let's switch it on and it's all working, no? It's actually quite hard work. And we believe that it's not just the technology, but it's really the teams that do all the implementations, a lot of change management, to be honest. And that's actually what I'm seeing, especially in the logistics space. We need to have the leadership involved of the businesses, and then all their different teams, whether it's finance, logistics, the fleet management, the drivers, you need everyone involved to really make the change happen and to really, benefit from the technology, And so for us, it's actually, we have great teams in the different countries that we are operating in, and they are with the customers. Some it takes a few weeks, some it's even months, and that we are on the ground and being there, retraining. That's basically what we do. I don't know how that's for you with the banks, and that's.
Well, I think for us, from my experience, it's FOMO, right? It's like fear of missing out. Once that sets in, then everyone wants to work with you. When I started Peach, it was 12 years ago, it took us a year to get the first bank in South Africa to agree to work with us. For 1 year, all I heard every week was, oh, next week we'll sign the contract, and next week, and next week. And now as we expand across the continent, when I go meet a bank, it's like, oh yeah, we know who you are, let's work together. So I think now that, now we work with all 4 of the big banks in South Africa, and it's FOMO. So it takes a few individuals. I don't think institutionally that muscle memory exists in larger organizations, because you have a lot more at stake. And as we've grown Peach, I can see that happening slowly into our own organization, because it's like, oh, I have so many existing customers to take care of. Something new somewhere breaks something here. So how do we build that agility while we continue to grow the business? It's tricky, but it always is that, what we found is there are champions. There are individuals who are willing to take that risk. And once you find the right person to be your counterpart, I think from there you move.
Yeah, fantastic. That really cool insights into how you enter a business and sort of help change and bring it on board to your systems and your platform.
And it's a long-term partnership. I think that's often what's the most important thing. It's not like you do for 1 or 2 months. It's really for many years. And kind of you start with the hard work and the onboarding, but after that there's always so many kind of improvements and new things you're bringing. You basically, I think, as a tech startup, you kind of are the tech partner of the large operations. Yeah.
Definitely. And it's cool to see eventually that network effect, or that just like the word of mouth of you being integrated really helps. So it's cool to see how that scales. We'll go back to the audience. Any questions from the audience? Yes, over here.
Thank you. My name is Marianne Kagim. I am an entrepreneur into food processing. We add value to the locally sourced raw materials from rural smallholder farmers. We make extra virgin oils, cosmetic oils, and healthy food. So I was wondering, but interested into Roche and Kasha. How do they work with young local entrepreneurs, and how do their businesses are improving locally sourced products? Because when you see what you are doing, there is no extremely different from what other suppliers or pharmaceuticals are doing. However, I am interested to know how are they contributing to the domestic development of local businesses, especially the new ones and the small ones. And for the pharmacies, how do they are contributing to the manufacturing of locally made in African medicines, but also for the premium quality? Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great question. So for Kasha, we focus on more of the lower income customer segment, basically not the ones that traditionally shop online, add to cart, checkout. And interestingly, and in the end, we give our customers what they want. We live and die by that, right? We're a business. And interestingly, especially within the FMCG space, most of our customers prefer locally manufactured products. Definitely within East Africa. If you look at the fast movers on FMCG, honestly, the globals can't compete. They don't have the right price. And also it's been in like generations. It's Rwanda, Kasha started in Rwanda. Rwanda is a very loyal market. It's very hard to introduce new products sometimes. On the pharmaceutical side, it's different, just because pharmaceuticals haven't been manufactured as much. And it's really, it is a lot around price and quality. We work with a lot of local manufacturers within that space as well. I think the risk in pharma is just generics. It is more costly to produce these products if you manufacture in Africa. And so with the generics coming in from abroad, and in the end, the customer is still very price sensitive. But to give you an example, you may be familiar with Zurufi Organics. That's a natural and organic brand. And so we started working with them in Rwanda, and as we expanded into Kenya and to other countries, they expanded with us because we brought their products. We were the first ones to bring them into other markets. And so I think there's definitely a way, like we are the way you reach the market at scale. The product has to be the right fit, it has to be the right price, but we are that channel. And in the end, if you serve that customer, they love your product, I will sell it.
Fantastic. We might do one more question before we wrap. Any questions from the audience? Okay, cool. I have one, so that's good. I'm really curious. I think we heard something interesting from Aïda around the big institutions understanding the need for working with smaller tech companies and startups. How well understood do you think the value or the benefit of new emerging tech is felt in your space? When you talk to your potential customers or potential collaborators, do you think they understand the value of working with emerging tech, or are they kind of oblivious? It's the first question, and then the extension to that is like, depending on that, how open are they to collaborating? Does it take time? Do you have to win them over? Yeah. Does that make sense as a question? Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
I think you have to solve a problem, right? It's not about the tech. Actually, technology is just the means to the end. We are relevant because we're solving a problem. And that's what I tell my team. I'm like, the day we stop solving problems for businesses, we're going to go out of business. Because then someone else is solving the next problem that they have. So, what is the challenge or the problem you're solving for these businesses, whoever your customer is? As long as you're doing that, you'll always be relevant, and then they want to work with you. So, if we lead with that problem, then they want to sit down and have that conversation because they felt that pain. They know exactly what you're talking about, and they haven't been able to solve it internally. So if someone else can solve it for them, you're in business.
Yeah.
I definitely see resistance, and especially, depends who you go in the organization, for sure. You cannot just go bottoms up. This is how we do business. Don't disrupt the business. This is how I do my job. You know, you can have that. And so you need to find champions within the companies. And yeah, I mean, the leadership has to be also forward-thinking and innovative and thinking outside the box and how to actually solve the goals, not just, you know, the leading indicators of that. So it is a navigation through that. But also, I think there's a FOMO piece where, you know, eventually that kicks in.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and I think in the end it's also not a choice anymore. No, I think what fintech has already shown us the last, 15 years or so, no, really disrupting the finance space, luckily, because as consumers we are way better off. And in logistics the same is happening. But yeah, it's definitely a mixed bag. Like some companies it's very easy to get it. It's like, hey, we want this, or they reach out to us directly. And it's others where we are talking and we definitely see, oh, I wish they would use it. But you know, it will take time. Yeah, and especially I would say in the more traditional FMCGs, distributors, and we actually see where for us at the moment it works best is, for instance, when the next generation takes over and they're like, oh, we need to get more technology in place. I want more oversight. I want more grip on it. Yeah, so it's a mix, but I think the trend is there, like, and that's across the world and for Africa as well. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Let's hear it for our panel, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Fantastic.